Mama turns all negative activity around. Mama, we the daughters of Earth, the sweet crone Trinity, have been inspired in the spirit of compassion for the well-being of our ancient cosmic family. To understand why you connected this trio to demonstrate the magic of your power to awaken and protect our universal ancient family. Welcome to Talk with MamaYAH on Truth UnCONPromeyezed. Mama, empower our ability with the authority of our common purpose. We are one in the best interest of our global family. In your essence, as ancient of ancients. Mama, please allow this Trinity to naturally raise upright our fallen sisters, to elevate them to their true celestial level in mind and spiritual substance. The sweet crone Trinity, MamaYAH El, Sister Myra, and Sila Eliana Bay. Good evening. This is MamaYAH, and this evening we will be discussing the Ashram and Your Purpose. What is an ashram? A hermitage, monastic community, or other place of religious retreat for Hindus, a place of religious retreat or community life modeled on the Indian ashram. Now is the time of harvesting souls. It is incumbent upon us on this call to awaken to the call to service, to awaken and guide sleeping souls. The spell so deep. If folks would stop praying to European gods for the next 3 years collectively, this planet will experience a paradigm shift in the twinkling of an eye. Connect to your African gods and watch how the soul of our ancestors move. That was from an image posted on Facebook. Today's ashrams are churches filled with souls seeking light. However, they may be distracted by the messages of ministers and preachers that are more concerned with the collection plate than in awakening people to their own divinity. Of course, many of you have moved away from that scenario and are able to understand that religion is not spirituality. Until people awaken to their own divinity, they will continue to be led by capitalistic reverends that rule the masses from the pulpits. I'm going to mute other callers. There's no disturbance during the reading. In the years leading up to 2000, the turn of the century, psychic healers were warned to cease practicing their arts. The reason for this is that now is the time for each and every individual to ascend to the occasion of their own healing, and psychic healers cripple people by being codependent with them. Several healers that I know personally either became ill or died because they refused to stop working with toxic people who in turn made the psychics ill. Now is the time to explore your ability to heal yourself and be light for those who are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually diseased. Your encouragement to one or more people who are still sleeping can make the difference. You are disciples of the ascension. You are the second coming of Christ. This is your ashram of like souls. We are here together to heal ourselves and become the beacon of new life for others. The mere fact that you are on this call is an indicator that you are an awakened soul, waiting for your orders from divine source. You can no longer doubt who you are or what your divine purpose is. Let's discuss this with one another now. So before I continue the reading, I'm going. And if you have anything to say with regards to what was just read, please hit *6, and your mic will be open. Good evening.
Good evening,
It's open.
MamaYAH.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you, MamaYAH. 208 Tom. Hey, it's good to hear your voice. Thanks for the information. Yeah, you know, some of us were naturally born into this world, wide awake, fully alive, and breathing. But we still are on the ascension path to be all that we can be. And I love your subject matter, natural and real healing. And we are definitely arising to the occasion in the now. This is the new oneness world. And we will all come together in oneness and unity, or we will perish. Anyway, I love your subject. I love your delivery. And that, well, I won't take up too much time, but I just want to thank you for what you do. And we are of one heart, one mind, and one spirit. And I yield.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to continue reading, and we'll bring you back in later. Years ago, when I was engrossed in meditation with a yogi here in South Florida, there were several members of our ashram. Some of them are still with me. Some have moved on. Actually, 3 of them come on this call, Denise, Aman, and Gloria. They continue to communicate with me about soul growth. Aman brought me to Denise, who introduced me to David, who became my teacher, along with Gloria T., Gloria A., Philip, and several others, whose names I have forgotten. David introduced me to Discipleship in the New Age, written by Alice Bailey. It took me 1 year to read each of the 2 volumes that will be linked at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com after this call. I read these 2 books in 1994 and 1995. The reading was difficult, not easily comprehensible. So I learned to read just before retiring and allow my subconscious mind to interpret the meaning to my brain, my heart, and my soul. I realized that I was an ascended master during these 2 years. I was living in a small village in Switzerland, touring Europe as a jazz singer. I took the book with me everywhere and read a passage almost every night. This material prepared me for my future as a guide, a light unto others. I knew for sure that my purpose was to bring joy to and out of other people, and I was bent on fulfilling my purpose. Now we have a reading from an image that was posted on Facebook about knit or niece. Net, the original self-created one, warrior and weaver, grandmother of the Neteru, the limitless being, sits at the top of the tree of life. She is behind the great veil. Net reveals herself and weaves strands of beneficial connections for those who strive to live according to her extremely high standards. She excludes and cuts the cords of all who pretend to be lofty, learned, and loyal. Reach high, live truth, connect with morally high achievers. The next reading is about the happy full moon in Sagittarius. Remember two things. Raise your standards. You are limitless. This month's full moon was on Saturday, May 21st, 2016. It is the flower moon and may have looked full a day before and after to the casual observer. There are some readings on the site mysticmama.com that will be linked on the blog at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com after this call. So I'm going to read some of the readings, interpretations of the blue moon in Sagittarius on May 21st. From Sarah Varkas, from her astroawakenings.co.uk. Occurring less than 24 hours prior to the end of Mercury retrograde, this moon signals a shift of perspective. Events of the past 3 weeks begin to reveal a deeper significance now and through the coming months. A positive moon with an uplifting tone and encouraging demeanor, she poses a challenge too, our response to which will color the weeks to come. Conjunct retrograde Mars, this moon calls forth courage and appeals especially to those who identify as spiritual warriors. Seeing through the seductions of an unconscious world, while living in that world full-blooded and passionate, engaged, enlivened, and entranced by its paradoxical beauty. There exists an innocence about this moon, even as she radiates timeless wisdom passed down through the ages. Burning away the jaded half-truths of dogma and obedience to belief and form, she illuminates the vitality at the heart of a soul on fire for truth. Currently in Scorpio, Black Moon Lilith also speaks, reminding us that without the darkness of inky skies, we could never appreciate a magnificent moon. We cannot have light without darkness. To deny the shadows renders life unidimensional. I'm going to repeat that. To deny the shadows renders life unidimensional, robbed of its guts and gumption, those feelings we judge as wrong or negative, the ones we're told aren't spiritual or of the light, they are part of us too. An expression of our wild nature, which rages against obstacles, suffers when suppressed, and challenges the narrative that nice is more important than truth. Lilith embraces everything and everyone, resplendent in her power and alive in her fullness. She stands beside every person torn apart by grief, ground down by depression, fractured by rage, or broken by guilt. She looks into our eyes and sees our soul aflame with both divine love and sacred wrath, united in one ecstatic expression of life. She reminds us the most effective response to life is born of an open mind and heart, not one resistant to the very conditions it struggles to confront. That was a reading by Sarah Vargas. Next is from Kelly Rosano. This full moon is in a grand square. The test would be to balance your need for freedom with your duties. There will be a tug of war between keeping the status quo versus your taking risks. This is a dynamic full moon. It affects many areas of your life. This is where the action is this year. We have been building towards this time. With Saturn and Neptune, you can feel pulled in numerous directions. Less is more. Make friends with the word no. No is your friend. No, I am not available. No, I cannot do that for you. This moon requires you to be who you really are. Be true to yourself. Yes, consider the needs of others, but do not let others' needs trump what is right for you. Come from your soul desires. Your soul knows what you need. Saturn requires you to be realistic, be practical, be grounded. If you are tired, rest. Take plenty of cat naps. These energies can be exhausting at times. It will take time to get used to the higher vibrations. It is not the time to push yourself. Focus your energy. Work while you are strong. Rest when you need it. Listen to your body. It is your messenger. What is it telling you? Saturn restricts the energy of the sun. This is so you prioritize what is important for you and what is a distraction. Do what makes you happy. Make sure you are including you in your life. Where are you out of balance? You are here to be happy. You are not here just to serve. You are here to live your best life. Make sure that what you are doing is right for you, that you are not in denial of the truth. What is real? What is illusion? This will be your challenge. Discernment and patience will guide your way. That is a reading by Kelly Rosano. Next is a reading from Robert Wilkinson from his Aquarius papers. This is an extremely important lunation that will open a certain type of wisdom for the next year. This lunation bridges what has been and what is just now beginning to unfold. Be willing to find techniques that help you know what is core and what is peripheral. Take another look at what is more important and what is less important, and find ways to experience life and power more deeply then open a cultural sensitivity and your understanding of the importance of your cultural background. This distributive, communicative, activating, and truth-focused full moon at 2 degrees Gemini, Sagittarius, will allow us to see and express truth and wisdom, demonstrating a determination to live a greater freedom in all our lives. This full moon falls at 2 degrees Gemini and Sagittarius. The solar degree symbol for the 2nd degree of Gemini is Santa Claus filling stockings furtively. And that's just an image. We are told in the astrological mandala that this symbolizes a rewarded faith in spiritual blessings relating to our purity of heart and our willingness to accept gifts from the invisible world. This is about us getting beyond ego and rationalistic arguments so we can go experience the manifestation of what we have imagined. We should not examine the gifts from the invisible world too closely. And we need to build an attitude that will help us receive gifts and blessings from the spiritual realm. We need faith, purity of heart, and a common type of understanding, as well as innocence. This is about a need for appreciation when encountering nature's largesse and society's favor, will keep spiritual values alive in the hearts of all. The lunar degree symbol for the 2nd degree of Sagittarius is the ocean covered with white caps. According to Dr. Jones, creator of the Sabian symbol, we find this degree symbolizes the unending availability of everything ever needed for life and experience, which we discover via the tireless anticipation of the human soul. We must focus on the restlessness of all over consciousness, in which our immortal being is cradled, and for channeling this into a manifestation of personal energy. We prosper as we are self-quickened to our own potentialities. So the lunar degree should help us express the light through whatever intensifies us, or where we hear a call to some form of vital activity. This will help us express whatever we've been anticipating and channel our immortal self into some personally relevant manifestation of personal energy. This implies that part of the wisdom this year is about allowing ourselves to be quickened, intensified, or becoming more resourceful, and finding a greater way to view our attack on the problems of life. That was a reading by Robert Wilkinson. The next reading is by Molly Hall from astrology.about.com. At this Sagittarius full moon, there can be flash sightings of a new big picture. Sagittarius is mutable fire, the sign of broad knowledge. the kind that connects the dots. This is very empowering and allows you to consider new and surprising possibilities. Sagittarius is a sign of truth and high ideals. Gandhi said, truth is by nature self-evident. As soon as you remove the cobwebs of ignorance that surround it, it shines clear. With the clarity, unveiling, and burning off of what is false, a new path forward is realized. That was a reading by Molly Hall. As I said, we all belong to ashrams, and this is your ashram, this call. You are here to hear and to open your heart, your mind, and your spirit. All ashrams are not equal, however. Satsang is, in South Asian religions, is being in the company of the truth or the good by sitting together with a guru or a group of spiritual students. The Satsang Association is a companionship between those who are open to the truth in all religious traditions and are seeking to know the absolute, the source of all life. Those who also accept their need for guidance, challenge, and support in the concrete living of their ideals. Satsang is a Sanskrit word meaning the coming together, the Sangha, of those who are seeking Sat, which means being, truth, God, in order to support each other's spiritual quest. Satsang members recognize the barriers which are at the heart of many of today's social evils, barriers which create fear and suspicion and thus keep people in conflict. In small, often unnoticed, yet significant ways, they are working to transform fear into respect and understanding wherever they live and work. The Satsang Association has been forming internationally around the initiative of Sister Ish Priya's spiritual teaching and guidance. Satsang members make a serious commitment to their personal growth in spiritual awareness and practice, to helping remove the barriers of prejudice and ignorance which divide persons from each other, to building up relationships of compassion and appreciation across frontiers of race, language, culture, and religion. Their activity is to seek together to create a planetary vision of universal compassion. That particular ashram has 2 million members worldwide. Finally, in this reading, I'm going to read the code, the 10 intentions for a better world. To have the code work in your life, say it once a day, and it will be posted at divineconnectionchurch.wordpress.com for tonight's call. The first intent, support life. I refrain from opposing or harming anyone. I allow others to have their own experiences. I see life in all things and honor it as if it were my own. I support life. The second intent, seek truth. I follow my inner compass and discard any beliefs that are no longer serving me. I go to the source. I seek truth. The third intent, set your course. I begin the creative process. I give direction to my life. I set my course. The fourth intent, simplify. I let go so there is room for something better to come in. I intend that I am guided, guarded, protected, and lined up with the highest good at all times. I trust and remain open to receive from both expected and unexpected sources. I simplify. The fifth intent, stay positive. I see good, say good, and do good. I accept the gifts from all of my experiences. I'm living in grace and gratitude. I stay positive. The sixth intent, synchronize. After intending and surrendering, I take action by following the opportunities that are presented to me. I am in the flow where great mystery and miracles abide, fulfilling my desires and doing what I came here to do. I synchronize. The seventh intent, serve others. I practice love in action. I always have enough to spare and enough to share. I am available to help those who need it. I serve others. The eighth intent, shine your light. I am a magnificent being, awakening to my highest potential. I express myself with joy, smiling easily and laughing often. I shine my light. The ninth intent, share your vision. I create my ideal world by envisioning it and telling others about it. I share my vision. The 10th intent, synergize. I see humanity as one. I enjoy gathering with lighthearted people regularly. When we come together, we set the stage for great oneness to reveal itself. We synergize. And that is the end of the reading. Opening the queue, and please hit *6 to come in. Again, we're discussing the ashram, which is a group of people that are directed towards spirituality and your purpose. Okay, we have wireless. We have a caller at 256. Good evening.
Love and light. This is Amira in Alabama.
Love and light. How are you?
I'm terrific. So much is happening so fast, and I love this topic tonight. I went and I Googled it, and it led me to 4 additional terms that I did not know. Mm-hmm. And one was hermitage, the second one, yeshiva, and itka, and dojo.
And what was the third one? Itka?
ITIKAF.
Itikaf. That's a new one for me. Dojo is Buddhist. Is that correct?
When I Googled it, it said a Japanese term literally means place of the way. Were adjectives 2 temples.
And that's Buddhist. That's from Buddhism, the Japanese Buddhism. Because Buddhism is, I think that, I'm not sure which of the sects or of the religions have more people in them. That is something to research. But I believe that there are more Buddhists and Muslims than anything else.
And the other one,
So did you get a meaning for itikaf?
Yeah, it said it was an Arabic and Islamic practice consisting of a period of staying in a mosque for a certain number of days in accordance with the believer's own wish.
That's interesting. So there's purpose, your purpose.
Yeah, and all of them, it's the purpose of the ashram. It all leads in together, and I'm like, I got so much out of this.
Now, what about yeshiva?
It says it's Hebrew, a Jewish institution that focuses on the study of traditional religious texts, primarily the Talmud and Torah study. And all I did was just Googled each one, because it's like, I have no idea what these terms mean. And it was in the definition when I Googled the ashram. So then I Googled each one of these, and hermitage was really interesting. It gave me a place where a hermit lives. Now, I like that one.
I wonder why. Go ahead.
A house or building that is far away from other houses, from other buildings and other people. Now, that's what I intend to have.
Okay.
A hermitage.
But I still would go back to what we said last week, that if you remember, even if you are in a remote place, you still have 11 souls, whether they're in this dimension or in other dimensions, that are doing the soul work with you on your superconscious level. So that's where the astral projection comes in. Personally, I used to have these dreams that I was in a pyramid, and there was a huge room space where my 12, the 12 of us would meet. The 12 in my ashram would meet. Now, ashrams on a physical level are huge. They have huge numbers of people. They can range from 10 to 2,000, depending on where you are. In India, Sadhguru and also Sai Baba had huge numbers of followers that came to the ashram to meditate. So ashrams run the gamut from unconscious, where you meet with those souls in your dreams, to present and conscious and third degree, where you are constantly working on your evolution and ascension.
I seem to be stuck.
Okay.
I have this tendency, it's like I work on, my intentions aren't exactly the same as what you mentioned, which I'll have to go over those. But I've been working for the last 2 years, and I'm stuck at this point where I still get irritated with other people around me who are not putting in much effort for their ascension. And I make them feel bad when they're around me. And I know I do, but I don't. It's not a conscious intention. So how can I get unstuck, or is there a suggestion, or is there...
Well, every soul is here to unfold in their own way. One flower doesn't tell another flower, okay, I'm blooming, so you got to bloom too. That's where humans get confused. They think that everybody around them has to be doing exactly what they're doing. And this is how wars get started. Because people don't want to follow what other people are doing. And now we're in the age where leadership is being pushed aside because every human being has a right to unfold in the way that they choose to unfold. If they don't want to unfold at all, that's their prerogative.
So how can I get unstuck?
Life is not about getting. Life is about letting go.
How can I let go? What else can I do to let this go?
Stay focused on your own unfoldment. You literally have to become a hermit in a city full of millions of people. You have to pull your antenna in and refocus it on yourself, your own self-development.
Okay, do you believe that continuing to eat meat has something to do with it?
I believe that people can do whatever they want to do that doesn't harm themselves or someone else. Is eating meat, and maybe I never talked about my philosophy about how we became meat eaters, but this is a perfect place for me to do that. 57,000 years ago, we had the Ice Age, whereas women were the hunters and gatherers before the Ice Age. When the planet went into Ice Age, men became the hunters. There wasn't flora and fauna. Everything was covered with ice.
Uh-huh.
So the males went and killed animals for warm hides to keep them warm,
mm-hmm.
and the meat to eat. Well, animals have uric acid in their system, and when they are frightened, that uric acid increases. Okay? It's like adrenaline. And so it remains in the animal's body, and people, the more meat they ate, the more uric acid they took into their system. Uric acid creates aggression. So my belief is that the Nordic and the Vikings, the more meat they ate, the more aggressive they became. And so it's like what's happening today in the slaughterhouses. You cannot control the uric acid. So we take in meat, we take in uric acid, and the more meat we eat, the more aggressive we are. Now, what was your question? Do I think that eating meat does what?
Contributing to my inability to release or let go of this negative thought of I just unintentionally, it don't be on my mind, but I really irritate certain people who are around me because they say they want to know, but they don't put in the time or the energy. So then I'm irritated at them already in my subconscious, and it comes out when they're present. So I'm thinking maybe, is it because I'm consuming meat still that I'm still holding this negative energy?
Well, you might be aggressive because of it. Because when you eat meat, you take in uric acid. So unless you could find a herb that will, eliminate or reduce the uric acid that you take in with the meat, that's why a lot of people rub garlic and rub herbs on the meat. Could be. I'm not a chef or a nutritionist, so I don't know, but it stands to reason that if they're rubbing rosemary and thyme, these are things that calm the nerves. Maybe it calms the uric acid. You can chew sesame seeds, and that will quiet your nervous system. So maybe if you eat meat that evening, chew some sesame seeds. But I really think it's deeper than that. I think that it's possible that you love people so much that you want them to share in your joy and your understanding. So you want what you have for yourself for them. But it's just like a child, how a mother has to let a child go to learn certain lessons. You tell the child, don't touch that stove is hot. But the child doesn't know what hot is until it touches the stove. So the mother is in a catch-22 situation. You can't sit there and watch the child 24 hours. So if you tell the child, don't touch the stove is hot. Then next Wednesday, 7 days after you told that child that, the child touches the hot stove and comes and says, Mommy, I burned my finger. Hot. Now the child knows what hot is. So you have to let people go to learn their lessons. Does that explain it?
Yes, thank you, MamaYAH. Thank you.
Yeah. And don't let it give you sadness, because remember, we're all God having a human experience. So a lot of people are not going to learn the same lessons that you have learned or are learning. Some people are here to learn lessons about kindness and compassion. You might be here to learn abandonment, letting go, which is a whole different lesson than kindness and compassion. You might already be kind and compassionate, but you're holding on to the people around you to shake them up, to make them know what you know. Now, this is just my conjecture. We are all here to learn lessons, but there are lots and lots of lessons to learn, and we're not all here to learn the same lessons. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's exactly right what you're saying, and I appreciate it. I yield.
Good. Okay. So anyone else want to raise their hand out there? *6. Come on in. Say what you got to say. Talk to MamaYAH. Have you thought about what your purpose is? Have you written your purpose down on a piece of paper and put it up on the wall in front of you? My purpose is to bring joy to and out of other people. I determined that years ago and put it up on the wall. All right. We have a caller. I believe this is one of the sisters, one of the sweet crown trinity. Is this Sila?
Love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
I didn't have any questions. I'm just learning so much from you this evening, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're imparting. I really enjoy
wonderful.
listening to you.
Have you determined what your purpose is, and is it something that you can share with us?
I've always felt that my purpose in life was having to help everyone be happy. Trying
and
to help
how do you go about doing that? How do you go about this?
Doing as much positive, as many positive things that I can do for someone else, which brings me joy.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us an example?
Pardon me?
Can you give us an example?
An example? Just smiling at someone, saying good morning, asking how they're doing, holding a door for someone if you're going into a building, if you're going to go out shopping, asking your neighbor if there's something you can do for them. Just little small things that sometimes we don't think about that can help lift someone else's spirit. It helps lift me spiritually, and hopefully it helps the other person as well.
And Amira's question, how do you let go of pulling people toward your way of doing things?
Well, I have never tried to pull someone into doing things the way that I do them. I think that each of us should, we have our own purpose in our own life to live. I like the example that you gave about the flower. One is blooming, and you look at the other like, when are you going to bloom? Well, we have different stages for maturing.
Mm-hmm.
We're all not going to bloom at the same time. We're not going to have an understanding of something at the same time. We're all on different stages and different levels at different times in our life. But this ashram, I wasn't familiar with it. I saw what you were going to speak on, and I did a little research on it, and it's been very interesting. I'll have to look into it more.
Now, I'm going to ask you directly, but anyone in the queue, to answer this question. Have you ever had a dream where you felt like you were amongst a group of people that you knew before?
I've been in a dream with people that I did know, yes.
Did you feel like it was a spiritual experience? Not just a social, not a party, but because that is the ashram. The ashram are the common souls from the many dimensions that we talked about last week, and there are 11 for each person, and then those 12 people have 11, which makes 144. You see, 12 groups of 12 is 144, and each one of us has those 144. So where you and Myra and I may be in the same ashram on this plane, in this dimension, some of the people on this call may be in a totally different ashram, but they're also in this ashram. Do you understand that?
I understand what you're saying. So my interpretation of, or my understanding of an ashram is not a place where you go for a quiet moment of meditation or reading or going into yourself.
No, the ashram is your soul group. Okay. When you go into meditation, it's very likely that your soul is going to meet with those souls. But you do not have to leave the privacy of your home to be in a spiritual ashram. And yet, there are thousands of ashrams throughout India and Arabia, and, churches are ashrams too. There are many soul groups within churches. However, they have externalized their meditation, whereas in a true ashram, the meditation is internalized.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. As I said, this is new to me. I'm learning. I've learned a lot in the last 45, 50 minutes. And I will continue to, look into this. It's something I want to know about. I will yield. There are other people who would like to speak with you, and thank you so much for all you're doing.
I love you.
Love you too. Peace and love.
Peace and love. All right. Do we have someone else? Just hit *6. If you have any experience with an ashram that serves your soul purpose. Okay, I believe that Anonymous might want to say something else.
I thank you, beloved Ascended Master, for taking my call. Hey, I would like to make a suggestion on all this. Every morning when we arise, we got to realize that we're all on a path of ascension. We're on a journey of a spiritual ascension. And it's very much a quickening now. And we've had 2 waves of ascension in the last 8 months, and we've got another one coming this next month. But every morning when you arise and shine, go and look out your window and simply state what a beautiful, glorious, wondrous, joyous, and loving day it is. Thank you, Yah. And that will set the stage for a positive, very positive day. Anyway, on the subject of meat, I'd like to recommend to Sister Mira that it's about your spiritual ascension, that you want to cling, and you got to rise above your 3D thinking. And yes, meat definitely has an effect on how your day goes or doesn't go, because what you mentioned about the way that they terminate the life of that animal that you're eating, it causes a lot of negative energy. And if you consume that, your body's going to take it on. There's no way around it. But on the other hand, you mentioned pyramid. Well, pyramid is a very, very energetic energy field in the field of a pyramid. Many moons ago, I was solicited by a brother to help him build pyramid greenhouses to grow plants in. And it's absolutely mind-boggling and amazing what the difference it makes to those plants and how they react and how they grow and how they mature. And when you consume them, it definitely energizes you on a very powerful note. And last week, we had a sister came on, and she acknowledged the masculine energy presence, And like I said, when I was on this call a few minutes ago, I stated that I was born alive, breathing, and Yah breathed the breath of life into me, But anyway, there's a lot of brothers out there, I'm sure, that haven't heard about the call yet, but as we progress forward and ascend higher into the fifth dimension and above, there's going to be a lot more of that energy. But I hold the truth to be self-evident that all of Yah's children were created equal. So it's up to us to ascend at our own level. And as far as getting upset with people because they're not ascended to your level, like I said, it's got to start. You got to let go of your own 3D thinking, and you got to teach people by example. If you want people to really grasp what you're trying to tell them, don't get upset with them. Just set an example, give them the love, share the information, and move on about your business. And just carry the love and light for them, and they will catch up very shortly. But we're all at different points on this path of ascension. And that's why I would like to encourage everybody to take into account those suggestions and remind them to remember that we are all created equal, and it's up to us to ascend at our own rate. We can't do it for anybody. We can just love them, set an example for them to follow, and they will ascend at their own rate. And our total goal should be our total ascension. That should be our goal in life, to ascend. And with that, I yield, and I want to thank the sister. I think that might have been her on just before me, that she came on and expressed and acknowledged that they had the masculine energy present, and she was like kind of, I guess, bewildered, if you will, for lack of a better word. But anyway, I assure you, sister, if you're listening, that, there's some of us very much present, and with that I yield. And I thank you, Ascended Master, for taking my call.
Thank you. I want to say two things about what you just said. The first is, in the reading, it says, this is about a need for appreciation when encountering nature's largesse and society's favors, when we keep spiritual values alive in the hearts of all. So when you acknowledge your surroundings, your environment, you are showing your appreciation through your God self. As far as the masculine energy is concerned, it is all of us, male and female, that are awakening to our feminine energy. Many of the women that you encounter have more masculine energy than they do feminine energy, especially ones that are striving in today's society. So be aware that the divine feminine is in all of us, just as the divine masculine. That's why we say God, Goddess, all that is. Because in the source's being, there is no separation. It is mankind that created duality. Mankind. So we are returning back to the all that is, which is one, divine masculine and feminine in one. And with that, I'm going to bid all of you a pleasant good evening. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but it always presents itself. I thank each and every one of you for visiting the ashram this evening. And I would ask that you go and write on a piece of paper, what is my purpose? And keep writing it. And maybe next week some of you will chime in and share your purpose with us. On that note, I wish you love, and I play love translation for you. Peace.